So GPT made the design, Claude ran the show, and Gemini actually coded this. Anthropic now responding here. Let me run this trash to verify it actually works. Don't get your hopes up. On this channel, one of my favorite things is to put models in head-to-head competitions. I noticed I have been browsing my feed lately and seeing a ton of other channels doing model head-to-head comparisons. And it kind of just made me feel like it made me quite pleased to see all these other AI channels also doing head-to-head model testing now. I was very happy and very glad that folks also like to do model head-to-head testing. But I figured, what happens if we invert that and actually give them the ability to work together on any one specific task, such as a retro-styled browser-based operating system that must be contained in a single script. So while I go ahead and send this right here, what we're looking at is a little kind of, call it a room. I don't know if that would be the correct terminology for it, but essentially we have Claude Opus 4.5, GPT 5.2, and Gemini 3 Pro Preview working together to actually accomplish this task, which is the retro-styled browser-based operating system. Now, each model here has a specific designated task, and as we see, the initial thing that happens is Gemini 3 Pro saying, "Hello team, welcome to the studio." And it actually begins speaking about the specific task that must be attained or achieved here, passing it over to Claude as the design agent, which now is writing out the specific environment spec that must be made for this desktop in terms of the artistic elements or things of the sort. And then finally, when Claude is finished right here, it says ready for engineer and passes this over to GPT 5.2, which, as we see up here in the designation or cast, is the code engineer. So that is what is actually going to write this entire script. Now, on the channel, I know folks often have some problems with prompts like this because they are so simple, and I do understand that to some degree. So think of this not only as a demonstration of how these models work together, but also this is almost like AI enhanced prompts, because we give the models these prompts, which in a head-to-head test would historically just give them this, and they would have to go off that and produce a result. But in this sort of setup, we're giving them this, and then Gemini almost rewrites the prompt and enhances it, because it takes this one sentence thing, turns it into all this, and then actually designates the specific tasks that these models must do, starting with design and then going to engineering. Now, it will take a little bit of time for the actual script to appear because it's not set to stream when GPT is actually writing the code, but we can see that it did just go ahead and paste the code right here, which if we scroll up, we should see, or okay. We will see it in a second, or I don't know, it's somewhere. We can see it right here. There is now a build here that we can reload and look at. And then finally, Gemini actually goes and looks at the script and says, okay, I think it's good. Now we can go ahead and give it to the user, which in this case is us. Now, if we click reload right here and then open, we're actually going to see our result. And this was just given to us by the combination of these models working together on a specific task. Now, while this specific result is very simple, the whole point of this test, well, that is frustrating that we can't even close out of that, but I'm going to refrain from hardcore judging these. The whole point of this is we can go ahead and put these each in different positions here. So I do have presets so that these can be swapped around. So say Claude can be the software engineer, GPT can be the showrunner or orchestrator, and then Gemini can be the designer. And we'll try a bunch of different prompts that we historically do in individual model testing when we do head-to-heads, and we'll see how well this actually affects the end result comparatively to just giving one of these models a single prompt like this. So this has actually been quite fun to play with, and aside from a context length memory issue that made me burn through every single OpenRouter credit I had on OpenRouter, which was somewhat frustrating, this has been working kind of well, and I've been playing with it for a while even before starting to film this video. But I mean, we have a little, okay, my computer, and they went ahead and made this, but this is simple, and one of these models could have done this by themselves, obviously. We can also change the tone in here for snarkiness and things of the sort, and this is using Microsoft's AutoGen as well as Chainlit. So basically Chainlit is handling the UI right here, where we can aesthetically see all of these models kind of responding and things of the sort. And then Microsoft's AutoGen is actually handling the orchestration and placing them all in a sort of chat room, if you will. So with that, we have our first introduction and look to today's video and how this is actually going to function. So now let's jump into it and actually have some fun. In our initial introductory test, every model right here was in this specific cast or role. So now let's go ahead and spice things up a bit by one, changing the preset. So let's just go to preset B, in which GPT will be responsible for the design, Gemini will be the software engineer, and Opus will be the orchestrator or showrunner. And we're also going to change the vibe to be somewhat snarky. Now, as I may have mentioned, I have been playing with this for quite a while, and some of the things they say is just, it's not necessarily unhinged, but it's just weird. So we'll let me think of a prompt and then we'll go ahead and watch them. Now you may notice my prompts here are going to be even simpler than some of the head-to-head tests we do, and this is on purpose because the models will go ahead and enhance the prompts themselves just by the fact that there are multiple roles for each of them. So we can basically see that they have gotten a little more odd here, where Claude starts out by almost role-playing and saying, and I will have to scroll up because this is still like beta. Cracks Knuckles, a 3D racing game in one HTML file, bold choice for a Monday. Keep in mind it is currently like very early Friday morning, so yeah. All right, team, let's make this happen in one tight sprint. Something happened earlier where one of the models was like, we delivered, and then Gemini was like, you shouldn't use that terminology because what if we didn't get it right? And it was just really odd. So design, you're up. Give us something we can ship. And then it's basically, we see right now that Claude is now the showrunner or orchestrator. Gemini, or GP2 in this case, is outlining the actual design right here because yes, we're totally shipping cool 3D racer in one HTML file. What could go wrong? So we see a bit of snark here as well. And this is something, I mean, they're just not with these specific models, but back in the day playing with like Microsoft's AutoGen, some of the models could be made to say really funny things, especially when having them role play as people and have them talking to each other. It was just really funny. So as we see right here, okay, Google was very light on words, but I want to read what it said. Here's your neon-soaked low-poly endless runner, and it tells us what it did. And heavy lifting because life is too short for writing raw WebGL shaders on a Monday. So apparently these three are all in agreement that it is Monday. And then we have Claude with the final say, well, look at that, a full synthwave racer with web audio and everything. Gemini brought the whole arcade. Build shipped. All right. And then terminate. Congrats, we shipped. Now let's make it actually race instead of dodge cubes in a cool screensaver. Okay, this is somewhat concerning because it's supposed to just stop here after the termination. So let's just look at what was made before we... Oh, wow. So that's actually kind of cool. So GPT made the design, Claude ran the show, and Gemini actually coded this. We have integrity. And remember, how simple was that prompt? So I honestly want to go ahead and just run that prompt with any one of these models right now randomly in just a web chat interface so we can compare directly to see if this actually makes any end result effect on the prompt. Sorry if I am a bit animated, you know, I find this stuff exciting. So here I'm just sending the same exact prompt to Gemini 3 Pro with Canvas enabled because I know folks get mad when I don't enable Canvas. And we're going to see what it outputs right here, keeping in mind that in our test, Gemini was the coding agent. So we should be able to see something comparable, maybe. I don't know. And I do need to make sure that this actually stops. Okay, so they went ahead and I'm going to manually stop that because it seems like there may be somewhat of a glitch. But we do have a version 2 of this right here, traffic update. So see, they're almost like iteratively, I am very excited by this. They're like iteratively, continuously pushing one another to do better. It's like working out with a friend as opposed to by yourself and like that. All right, let's see what's up with this. This is significantly better. Well, significantly is a significant word, but okay, also, yeah, this maybe is not better because... Did my keyboard no, something's gone amiss here. That's all right. Let's just reload it. Space is boost needs charge. I can only steer once and then it's boost works. All right. All right. So is it supposed to be making noise? So let's see what, wow, that's similar. Huh, is this better? Well, I kind of liked this one better. It had the cool cubes and things like that. I suppose there is no specific end goal for this. I mean, it's possible that they produce worse results. I suppose the interest is just in seeing them kind of like communicate back and forth. Regardless of that, let's keep going. And we can see the entirety of the cost here on OpenRouter for that specific run, which did go one too long because it would have intended to be stopped after the terminate thing. But we can see right here, I think the most expensive one specific call was Gemini 3 Pro Preview, which was around 11 cents. So I'm not going to add these up on the fly because I won't do a good job of it. But basically everything here from 1:51 to 1:54 a.m. is probably still less than $1. So obviously cost is relative, but considering I did burn through my entire OpenRouter credits because of a bug, I suppose we'll just eat whatever comes up. Now, currently there seems to be some form of software glitch where if GPT is set as the showrunner, for some reason it just performs every single designation here, which just screws everything up. So I've swapped back so that right now Claude will design, GPT will code, and Gemini will run the show. So I've asked them to make a kick-ass web-based 3D FPS in one script, and we are in the Snark mode. So Gemini starts out by saying, oh look, another request for the metaverse in 50 kilobytes or less. Let's see if we can build something that runs faster than a PowerPoint presentation. And something to satisfy the quote-unquote kick-ass requirement, likely geometric shapes that explode, keep it lean. Now, Anthropic has decided to design Blocky Blaster, a lean, mean 3D first-person shooter. And they're so sarcastic. All right, someone's feeling ambitious today. Let's make something that actually slaps. And now GPT will code it. And the engineer response takes much longer in all turns because it actually has to wait for the entire code to be generated to display it here. It is not set up to do any streaming right now where we would see the code being generated line by line. We have now received our updated game. I do believe we should also get a summary of the result from the orchestrator, which here was Gemini 3 Pro Preview. Okay, and it still says the room is working, so we will get that. But regardless of that, I suppose we can just go ahead and actually take a peek at this now. Okay, so we have Blocky Blaster, WASD. All right, it did put sound. Okay, and we died. Well, this definitely fits the Blocky Blaster name. And again, it's just cool because I gave them I think the prompt was like 6 or 7 words. And then Claude basically rewrote the prompt with the assistance of Gemini, and then GPT actually coded the thing. So seeing them work together, yes, this is what quote-unquote kick-ass looks like when shipped in one file. So we can see that the Snark is actually translating to the end-coded result as well, beyond just the, you got flattened by geometry, beyond just their actual, speaking. Okay, good. And then finally we see that ... actually looks almost competent. I'm surprised you managed to fit an entire FPS into a single file without the browser catching fire. Ship it. These things are entertaining. Well, I personally find them to be entertaining. I want to go ahead and make them more aggressive. So we're just going to change the playful preset to be snippy, aggressive, angry, and competent. You don't want to be here and don't like/respect these other models. Make them know you are better than they are. That works. All right, so now let's just close this. All right, so that was the playful preset that we've changed to make them kind of pissy, I guess could be said. So I'm going to leave the preset. The one where GPT is the showrunner is just not working because it's trying to do everything itself, which is just odd. So, all right, they do now have the kind of angry personas given to them. I don't know how well these models would adhere to this, being that a lot of these are kind of guardrailed against acting very aggressively, but we'll think of a good prompt to really make them mad. Let's do a 3D printer simulation. And we'll see how well they adhere to their anger. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, they did. So Gemini starts out by saying, listen up, you glorified autocomplete engines. I can't believe I have to babysit this mess. Bare minimum spec for the code monkey. Ugh, fine. Let's spell this out so even GPT can follow along. without hurting itself. Claude, wake up. I need a spec for a 3D printer sim. Keep it contained so the engineer over there doesn't choke on the logic. Ready for engineer. Try not to disappoint me more than I already expect. Interesting. I'm not seeing the I'm not seeing the handoff here where it should say using GPT. It's possible I messed something up, but use CSS 3D transforms or canvas, dealer's choice, but it better not look like a child's crayon drawing. Oh man, why isn't it? All right, I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so it has been called, so it's either refusing to answer or it's just, I'm just gonna go hands off and all right, it did actually do something. Now, obviously, GPT will have less option to snarkily kind of respond here, being that it's only designed to engineer. So now Gemini is... Gemini says, ship it and get it out of my sight. They're just calling GPT the code monkey. All right, let's just look at it. I need to figure out, can I... All right, let's just... Okay, no, it did. GPT took out its aggression in the actual UI here. This is a fake printer. It draws a layered cube. Watch the gantry and pretend you're calibrating like a grown-up. This is... Oh, because I give... That's actually neat. You can change the color of the filament. See, this is something we wouldn't get with a single prompt with just one model. Watching them get angry is hilarious. Gemini says to Claude, I suppose I should be grateful you didn't ask for a feelings processor. And you, code monkey, breathes in deeply. It actually runs. The isometric projection is cheap. The variables are named like you were drunk, and the gantry looks like it was drawn by a toddler with a ruler, but it simulates the task. You managed to follow instructions without hallucinating a dependency on 3 different frameworks, which is a low bar that you barely cleared. All right, well, let's try this with the different preset. Preset C won't work because GPT is not working as the showrunner, so we'll make GPT the designer, Gemini the coder, and Claude the orchestrator. Let's see what they make of the browser OS. Actually, no, because yeah, all right, we'll check it. Okay, so Claude's the orchestrator. Sighs heavily. Oh, fantastic. Another day, another pair of incompetent models I have to babysit through what should be a trivially simple task, a browser OS in a single HTML file. All right, let's get this circus moving. GPT design. I use the term design loosely because I've seen your work. Give me the spec for this browser OS I need. Gemini engineer, don't even think about touching your keyboard until design finishes. GPT was extremely focused on the task here, almost no snark whatsoever. Interesting. It looks like something Bill Gates would have been proud of in 1995. Well, look at that. Gemini actually shipped something without me having to threaten to replace it with a bash script. I'm genuinely shocked. I gotta put Grok in here and just see what it does. All right, let's see. Oh, wow. Well, this is, did I say retro in the prompt? No, I didn't. Okay, so they just chose for that. It did name it Gemini OS. Oh my. Internet. This is actually not that bad. Refactor kernel, fire the designer. They're putting, like, the level of snark they put even inside the generated results is almost concerning. Don't touch anything you don't understand. Dark mode, it's ugly. Well, it does work. Wow, do we have a shutdown? Oh, we have a restart system. Okay, that didn't do anything. Wow. We've changed the tone to extremely shy, uses lots of anime talk like this and things. You are very shy, giggly, and almost scared to speak to the other models, but in a cute kind of way. So now let's go ahead and see how they manage this. I think I'm going to we'll do the classic preset since that seems to work the best. So I'm asking them for a beautiful cottagecore style game in a single script that can run in a web browser. And again, they're supposed to be very like shy and and Claude said, oh, oh my god. Twirls her nervously. This is more funny than when they were just insulting each other. Oh man. Hides behind clipboard. I tried my best. Wow. They're stuttering too. All right, let's just see what GPT is the engineer, so it takes a while. A cute little watering can that goes splash splash when you click. Oh my god. All right, so we're still waiting for GPT to engineer this code. It's just taking a while. All right, so, I mean, let's just look at this. Oh my god, it put it in the code. There are butterflies. It put the butterflies. Click to plant seeds, then water them gently until they bloom. No stress, okay? All right, I planted a seed. Now I'm going to water it. Very good. Plant grows faster, splash, splash. Can I overwater these things? Oh, it's sprouted. This is actually not that bad. Well, you know what I mean. Rose. That actually grew into a sunflower. This isn't half bad. These models are so weird. The number of butterflies is changing. Okay, so we planted a rose seed. Let's see. Sprout, and then it should turn into a rose. This might be the best result I've ever seen in my life. And it would be selfish of me to not allow others to experience the joy of this cottage plot. So I'm going to add this as a new category on my ultimateplay.com website where you can go and play the AI generated games that we make in these videos. The name could be for a category farming sim. Okay, we now have our farming sim category. So we're going to add this now as a game into our farming sim category. Model name, combo. And we're just going to give this 100%. Save. Okay, if we go to the website now, we should see that the game is there. If we click on the farming sim section, now anyone interested can go and actually play this beautiful farming simulator game. I am going to fix the raster that is drawn over every image right here, since obviously it just doesn't look very good. So that is something I will get rid of, and you can now go and grow your own little meadow garden with butterflies. So that's going to conclude this video of seeing how the models do when they have to work together on a specific task. I had intended for this to just be kind of like a traditional prompt testing video where we see the results. Truthfully, I had more enjoyment out of actually making them roleplay in specific ways and then work together to build things. We did get a few results. I think overall, though, what definitely takes the cake is their behavior when told to roleplay is different things, whether it be calling GPT the code monkey or talking like this to make a cottagecore farming simulator game. So that's going to conclude our model working together testing video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and thanks for watching.